The all-new Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center brings
Hey, I'm Quinn Hambright, head football coach and athletic director for Charles Henderson High School. Please come out and join us for the C Spire Troy Cable Spring Classic, May 20th, May 21st, as we take on Lee High School Friday night, May 20th.
On May 21st at 3:30, we have Hillcrest versus Selma. At 7 p.m., we have Flomaton versus Greensboro.
Games will also be live streamed on Troy Cable, Channel 2. Be there.
Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. I'm Mike Amos. He's Bill Rice Jr. As we start a Wednesday, thank goodness it's Wednesday because it's Hump Day.
Yeah,
Hump Day.
it's all downhill once we get to noon, but
Yeah.
you know, it's still a little uphill a little bit for the next couple hours.
Of course, a lot of the schools right now are looking at this week. In fact, Friday, I think Pike Liberal Arts shuts it down with
I think so.
a outstanding year after and graduation coming up this weekend, and
Wouldn't it be
then,
interesting?
then you know what they got on the mind is going to the beach. That's fun, isn't it?
It'd be interesting to see if these graduates, these boys, how many state championships they won in their careers.
Yeah.
At Pike Liberal Arts.
And then, of course, you folks listening in from Long High School of Skipperville, y'all are playing for another state championship. And, of course, former Troy great Drew Miller has his team ready to go up against a team from Heritage of Decatur. And anytime you can talk about Decatur baseball, it's always good. And that's going to be a real barn burner when Long meets Heritage in the first championship best of three.
You know what my baseball high point was when I was 12 years old and I was on the summer tournament team.
Yep, that's right. It was very
yeah,
big
so
deal.
that is the perfect age to make an impression on you.
Yeah.
And darn if our team didn't make it all the way to the state tournament in Montgomery and all the way to the finals, where who beat us? Decatur.
Decatur, yeah, they're pretty good, weren't they?
Yeah, we were runner-up to Decatur.
Either them or right down the road from Decatur is a pretty good program too.
Hartsville?
Hartsville, you're exactly right. And they have a good team every year.
Well, we got revenge on their neighbor in 1980 in the little football game we played in Hartsville's football stadium.
Sure did.
Tell you that stadium, our bus rolled in. I was a third-string scrub quarterback, but I was on the team. And the bus rolls into the track about 2 hours before kickoff. Mike Amos is probably sitting in the stands already. Yeah. But that's the thing. Maybe an hour and a half, maybe before the game.
And Hartsville.
The stadium was already completely full.
I remember it well.
And so we roll around the track in our chartered Greyhound buses, and we get a standing ovation from our Troy side that's already there. You talk about putting chills down your spine.
Oh yeah. And but that was one of the highlights of
that was a long trip, wasn't it? To go.
Good program. Yeah. Of course, it is Wednesday, and we're getting ready to put a little closure on this year's school year. And of course, one thing is going to happen this Friday is Honors Day at Charles Henderson High School, where they give out all the if you want to say trophies, well, you can say trophies,
Don't
but
you give your
but scholarships.
Yeah,
that's right. And of course, congratulations to all those people coming up this this Friday at the.
My wife will be there.
Yeah,
I saw in the Colley banquet, or Forrest told us yesterday, that there is a young lady from Charles Henderson graduating that has received a appointment to West Point.
Yeah, that's
which
really
happens about once every couple of decades. My friend Scott Rainey was one of the very few people from Troy that got one of those appointments.
And then, of course, the softball is going full blast, and that And then, it's just a lot happening right now. And then there's a big jamboree football game when Charles Henderson High School of Troy faces the Robert E. Lee Generals of Montgomery. And so we're going to get a good shot Friday night of how good this Charles Henderson team can be going up against a proud program. Yeah, exactly.
I know all about their tradition from living in Montgomery for so many years. But guess what? There's some trivia about this game. I guarantee you this is the last time Charles Henderson will play the Robert E. Lee Generals. You know why?
Why?
Because after this school year,
there won't be a Robert E.
They're
Lee
changing their name.
That's right.
There will not be a Robert E. Lee.
That's right. Yeah, and of course so many things happening here at once. It seems like as we get ready.
There will be no Jeff Davis High School.
Yeah.
There will be no Lanier High School. They've got other names picked out. I don't know them.
Of course, the state softball championships are coming up this weekend, and that's a lot of teams involved in that. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, Trinity Presbyterian has fallen to in the state championship to Piedmont. Piedmont, small team in North Alabama, going up against a strong team from Trinity Presbyterian, and they were just too much for them.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Where's that? That's the tissue.
Yeah, I know it exactly. Let me pass you some tissue paper.
That was just a little an allergy or something.
Of course, some other things that are happening right now. Troy baseball, and I was out there yesterday and looked up in the stands and saw this sweet little girl just about to burn up, and it happened to be your little sweet daughter.
She said they called out to you. I don't know if you heard them. She said she got all her friends to say, Mike.
Oh, did she really? I didn't know. Yeah. I was walking by there, but I noticed her right in the middle of a bunch of kids.
Well, the kids, school, a lot. How many of them went, Mike? You tell me. A bunch.
Gosh, man, they said it was about 600, but I don't believe that many. But let's just say this. About half those bleachers were packed with kids, and it was one of the most unusual baseball games I've ever seen. UAB, University of Alabama Birmingham, came to Troy to play a 10:30 game in the middle of the week, 10:30 game, and when those kids, UAB got to the ballpark, they started hearing rumbles, and it was those kids hitting those bleachers. And you talking about a fired up bunch of kids. They really gave the Trojans a big support.
But how did the game come out?
Well, it was a tough game. Troy ended up losing the game 10-8. Oh. It was a very close. They fell behind 10-2 and it was that way until around the 6th inning, and Troy started whittling away at it and made a game of it.
Well, we lost, I think that's 8 in a row. That is a bad losing streak.
Yeah.
But it was neat that they invited the kids, and Maggie had a great time.
Was she sunburned?
Yeah, but she said we were prepared since I got sunburned at the Pike Liberal Arts game. I told her, and she took a lot of sunscreen.
That was good.
So she was not,
yeah.
But
now Jackson didn't go though.
They didn't let kindergarten.
They didn't let them go, but it was an impressive sight, and they really gave the Troy baseball team a lift.
I love it. I love the original marketing things they do at Troy Athletics. So I hope this becomes an annual deal. The kids enjoyed it. Maggie and her teacher got picked to play one of the games they do between the innings.
Oh, did you?
They did
okay.
The shell game where they you can
I didn't notice that. I'm sorry, I didn't notice.
Well, Maggie told me her teacher got picked, but she got to have a helper, and she picked. Maggie said, "I'm good at this game." And she said, "All right." And Maggie picked out where the shell was. Remember where the ball was under the shell?
Yeah.
And so Maggie's teacher won because of Maggie's input.
That was great. That was great.
But they were on the microphone.
But I'm glad she had a good time because it was really hot. I'll tell you, if they didn't have something for sunburn.
I think they had to leave early. It got so hot.
Yeah, and it was really got hot. But some of them stayed the whole ball game, and I'm sure the baseball team felt the lift every time they do something good. They get a huge roar from the crowd.
Well, maybe they'll come back, and I mean these. If you can get the kids, the parents will follow. That was the protocol or idea behind the Troy curbside recycling program. Remember that my dad helped get started? Well, he did get it started. Jimmy Lunsford said, well, Troy's going to have a curbside recycling program before most cities in America. And Green Davis got it going. And then Green Davis hired my dad out of retirement to run it. And so Dad did the recycling part and had the employees that could separate all the stuff and recycle it, but he had to get people in the community to support it. And he did several things to do that, but the most effective he did is he went to all the elementary schools and talked about recycling.
Yeah, oh yeah, sure.
You know how funny my dad could be. And I still hear people today say, I remember when your dad came and talked to us in 4th grade. And so he went and gave his little 30-minute pitches at all the classrooms, and then the kids went back home and told Mom and Dad, we got to recycle. And they did, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Of course, with school out now, and we're going to and heading toward the big game this weekend with Charles Henderson and Robert E. Lee. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff from Veterans Memorial Stadium here in Troy, and I'm sure the high school is really excited about it because, they're going to get a good look at what they can expect. Now they're going against a 7A team who is very talented, but it's going to be a good test for Charles Henderson.
Robert E. Lee has had some bad teams. It was surprising that they've had some years. I think they've bounced back in recent years and gotten good again. They're pretty good. But there's no doubt they have had some great athletes through the year. The receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders that was in that terrible car wreck, he's from Robert E. Lee. I bet that's Michael. Guten Morgen.
Morning.
Is it Ruggs? Who's the Alabama receiver for the Raiders that was in that terrible, tragic car wreck?
Henry Ruggs III.
He is a Robert E. Lee high school football product, and Robert E. Lee is playing Charles Henderson Friday in the Jamboree.
Yeah, I guess he's probably the highest drafted player ever out of Robert E. Lee. I think he went number 12 overall for the Raiders.
Yeah, they had, who was that great, Beasley, that great run?
Fred
Beasley,
that's right,
yeah.
I don't think Fred Beasley went in the first round, though.
Oh, no, he didn't, but he was the big star high school player, and he was a good college player at Auburn, too.
I heard there's help wanted signs around Troy's baseball park for more players and pitching.
Oh man, yeah. It turned out to be a very good ball game, and we enjoyed it. And a bunch of former Troy baseball players were back, and we really had a good time talking baseball with them during the ball game.
I mean, what can you do from here on out? You lost 8 straight. You're giving up about 10 or 11 runs a game. I mean, you just try to do pitching by committee. Just try to have one guy come out there and pitch one inning or a couple innings. And
well, again, they sent the same old pitcher that they've been sending out on midday, and Bay what's his last name?
Welcher.
Yeah, Welcher, who at one time was considered one of the top prospects in the state of Georgia, and he has not had much of a year. A lot more was expected of him, and then we lost our starting pitcher his name's Gaines, and he was really outstanding, but he got hurt, and after he got hurt,
that's when it all began.
But
what do you do though? I mean, you got to go to the mountains this weekend to play Appalachian State in a 3-game series, and then you got to get ready for the Sunbelt Conference baseball tournament in Montgomery. But the seeding now, Troy went from number 4. They might be one of the last place teams in the tournament now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, here's what happens is they finish out the season and then they hopefully win a game or 2 in the tournament, and then the season's over. And then you recruit some pitchers. Unless a miracle happens and you suddenly get pitching. I mean,
it's crazy. It's crazy to see a baseball team down the stretch lose 8 in a row. I don't know if I've ever seen that in Troy baseball history.
Yeah, you're right. And it's been a tough road to hoe, especially down the stretch.
I mean, you're talking about a team that was like literally 29-14 a few weeks ago. I was talking about an NCAA regional.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked by that.
Well, I'll tell you another team that's the exact same things happened is University of Alabama.
Yeah, they are really.
They beat Tennessee, the number 1 undefeated team in the country, and then I think they've lost just about every game in the series since.
Yeah, you and I went up there and we thought Alabama was loaded, but hey, not the case.
Yeah, Troy is now 29-22, 13-14 in the conference.
Yeah.
You try to.
Maybe they can at least win 2 out of 3 this weekend and at least have a winning record in the conference. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. You try to have little markers so you say we had a winning record in the conference. That would be good.
Well, of course, we've also got the PGA golf tournament coming up this weekend, and no.
Yeah, a lot of conversations about Phil Mickelson going on. Tiger Woods pretty much said that they disagree totally when it comes to the PGA Tour and the LIV golf tournament and Tiger Woods, who Phil Mickelson's reached out to many times over the years when he's had all his off-course issues, and of course him recovering from this horrible accident he was in. And Tiger Woods flat out said, I hadn't reached out to Phil Mickelson at all. We've had no conversation.
Yeah, I saw that. I was watching. I love watching the Golf Channel when they have a major, because they've got such cerebral, smart commentators, and they're doing a good job covering this.
And I listen to the Golf Channel quite a bit too, and they're
serious.
Good.
Yeah, I do too. That's really good.
Yeah.
For network on radio, I listen to it all day.
Yeah. They try their best to let the public know where the putt is going. It's moving up to the right, now it turns back to the left, and then trying to tell the people.
Oh, I've never listened to it.
I will say that, like Roy McIlroy came out and said Mickelson should be there. Of course, John Rahm and he were great friends. You know, his brother was his coach at Arizona State. Mickelson and John Rahm are real close, and then like Webb Simpson's come out now, and Charlie Hoffman, Harrison English. I mean, a lot of guys are now like actually saying, publicly thinking this is enough that Mickelson should be back, but. It looks like it's obvious he's not going to play on the PGA Tour anymore. He's going to play on this LIV Tour if he can't turn down the $25 million they gave him to play on it.
Is that what they gave him up front?
That's what they're saying. Yeah.
Oh boy, you're right.
Okay.
And and people that want to judge Mickelson, and I'm sure there are a lot of people judging Mickelson and what he did, but hey. You answer this question. Hey, somebody offer you $25 million to play on another golf tour.
Would you take it?
Hey, pretty good living.
Yep.
$29 million.
Especially when you're about to be 52 years old.
Yeah.
He's about to be 52.
That's right.
It's not like he's a young guy.
Yeah. I get the other side of the argument. It would be. It would be a much tougher question if not for a couple of these Saudi Arabian princes that are backing this thing have such gruesome backstories. I won't even get into it, but it's the reason people are so outraged over this is some of the allegations against some of these Saudi Arabians. Otherwise you just say, well, they're just rich oil people. Let them do with their money what they want, but It's literally considered blood money.
Well, there's a lot going on in the world of golf, no question about it. And, Tiger Woods will be in the field this weekend. I imagine the parents are already up. Do you have the parents yet, Mike?
Yeah, Tiger Woods, Roy McIlroy, Jordan Spieth.
Boy, that's a good group to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a group that I'm sure will have all the cameras on him. I like Spieth a lot this week. He's playing really well. He finished second last week and won his previous tournament before that, so he's red hot.
Gosh, he got red hot in the Masters. You remember the last round of the Masters?
McIlroy played great last round of the Masters, yeah.
Yeah.
How good has Scotty played? He really hadn't played about one tournament since the.
He played last week at Byron Nelson. I think he finished in the top 15.
Yeah. And a lot of people like him because he's a great putter.
Well, and he's pretty good at everything.
And you like him. If you ever heard him interviewed, you would have to like him. He's
Well,
a very
Michael,
humble
you give me
individual.
3 before I go to my little website there. I can get odds on these players. Give me 3 that you'd like to finish in the top 5.
I mean, I like Rahm and Spieth, and then I would say Scheffler just the way he's played.
Yeah.
McIlroy, Justin Thomas. I mean, that'd be a pretty good top
That would be
5.
five pretty good ones.
You think
You're right.
Spieth? I don't know. Spieth's too inconsistent.
Spieth's been hot lately, though. I mean, he finished first and second the last 2 tournaments he played.
Oh, okay. Well, okay then.
It's going to be fun to watch.
In my opinion, I feel like a guy like Rahm is going to want to do all he can to get back to be number 1. So I like Rahm a lot to win it.
I'll say this. I have, they've, on the Golf Channel, they scroll the past winners of the PGA Championship on the bottom of the screen. So I'm looking at the names by year. Hubie Green, Jack Nicklaus over and over, Gary Player, Lee Trevino. Man, there's some great players that win the PGA. I mean, you saw very, very few that were you just like never heard of or that were one-hit wonders. The people that win the PGA are really good all-time golfers.
Apparently, this is a huge field because you've got all the PGA club pros that play in this as well.
Yep. They've cut that back compared to when they used to have a lot more PGA club pros that played in it, but they still have some.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Bryson DeChambeau is going to play, and he had, surgery on his hand, broke a bone, and he's already back after like 6 weeks, so he's going to play this week. DeChambeau's been, out pretty much injured all year, so a lot of people think he's risking coming back so soon.
I had a ESP flash. Sometimes you got to go with these, like when you're picking horses. You know who one of the past winners of the PGA is Jason Duffner, the Auburn golfer. What has he done in the last? You don't hear about him much anymore. He still lives in Auburn. He's due to come back and have a good showing.
Yeah.
He's playing at 8 o'clock with Stuart Stink and Padraig Harrington. Other pairings, your favorite golfer, Bubba Watson, is playing with
I like
Justin
Bubba.
Rose, playing with Justin Rose and Patrick Reed. What's happened to Justin Rose?
Yeah, I know it. But Bubba, go get him, Bubba. Go get him. Since Phil can't get out there, go get him, Bubba. He's my man, Bubba is. They say...
You got other groups throughout the day. A guy that a lot of people like on the Golf Network is Shane Lowry, the Irishman.
Yeah.
He'll be playing with Brooks Koepka and Adam Scott, so that'll be a good pairing.
No, Koepka, as he lost it, as Koepka lost it.
I think Koepka had a knee injury and never really been the same ever since. Then after that, you got another great pairing, Dustin Johnson. A lot of people like him to have a breakthrough week. Patrick Cantley's real consistent, and then Justin Thomas will be a threesome a lot of people will watch.
Yeah, well, that's a good group. Yeah,
Justin
it's
Thomas
going to be a lot of fun.
the only major Justin Thomas has won was the 2017 PGA.
Yeah, the best group after that will be John Rahm, Colin Markoff, who's a phenomenal player, and Scotty Scheffler. So those three will go out later too. So
Who would you say that second person was?
Colin Markoff, he's already won 2 majors.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah. He is a good one.
He's won.
You gotta always watch for Louis. Louis says.
Yeah. We're looking forward to Will Matthews to call in this morning and give his opinion of what's going on in golf. And of course, Alabama, Mike, they're making a big to-do over the Alabama game being televised by Fox. What's the big deal?
I don't understand it.
And they talk about the Fox's number one broadcast crew, Gus Johnson, Joe O'Clatt, and Jenny Taft. That doesn't sound like much of that's their top team.
I don't remember Alabama being on Fox.
But
now Fox, though.
What can you do? I mean, they're in the Big 12. It's a Texas home game. I mean, they play on the Big 12 plays on Fox. There's nothing to do about it.
And they're going to play the game at noon. You would have thought Alabama would try to play at night, you know. But
I mean, it's one of those things where I don't think Alabama has any control over anything when it's not their home game.
But again, it is.
It's gonna be hot. I'll tell you that.
It's called big noon kickoff game. But it's.
The thing that concerns me about that game more than anything is Alabama's secondary. But the thing is, with Texas building, you can get the ball off with Alabama's defensive ends, and we got Dallas Turner and Will Anderson coming off the ends. I mean, Sarkisian is a great offensive play caller. I'm sure he'll find a way to scheme, Alabama well, because he'll know, Alabama's defense philosophy so much. And I tell you, the guy that might be the star of the game, and which will be horrible to see, Rice, is Jaquil Billingsley, the former great tight end who was phenomenal 2 years ago, and then got to save his doghouse last year. He transferred to Texas too.
That's right. I think there's several former Alabama players that play for Texas. But yeah, Billingsley, what a weird story. I mean, he was looking like a first-round NFL pick, and then he was just completely laid an egg last year.
And then Ohio State quarterback Quinn. How do you pronounce this? Quinn Ewers, and former Alabama receiver Adele Hall, and tight end receiver Jahlil Billingsley. That's some pretty good football players, Mike, that Alabama lost to the portal.
Yeah, the Texas.
Yeah, Alabama's lost 23 guys to the portal.
So
none of them were starters, though.
Yeah.
Billingsley.
But this would be a great opportunity for Texas to get back in the thick of things.
I'd like to go. Y'all want to go to Austin? I've never been to Austin, Texas. Have you been to Austin, Texas?
No, I've never.
I've already got flights to Austin and a trip booked at a hotel in downtown Austin for a wedding my wife and I've got to go to in October. So I'm going in early October to Austin.
Have you ever been?
I've never been. It's one of those places that my wife's been several times, and I've always heard the music scene and the restaurant scene's incredible, so I'm excited.
Oh, it's one of the livable yuppie cities in America, supposedly. Hey, did y'all see where it was on the Drudge Report? U.S. News and World Report has picked the most livable city in America. Guess what it is?
Chattanooga?
Very, very close. No.
Nashville.
Go a little south of Chattanooga.
Oh, it's Huntsville.
Huntsville, Alabama.
Really?
The most livable city in America, according to U.S. News and World Report, which made a headline on the Drudge Report, which is seen by millions of people.
Yeah.
Huntsville, Alabama.
It's one of the fastest growing cities in the nation, and I've heard.
They said, low property values. I mean, it's not near as expensive, and it has a diverse mix of smart people. It was funny. They made the point in the story that Huntsville is not like other Alabama cities.
It is a little high tech. No.
Well, the
question.
people that live in Huntsville most of them are from they're not from Alabama.
You got NASA and you got Redstone Arsenal. You got
It's aerospace, yeah, right. All in.
tons of jobs up there.
Yeah, I made a mistake at the top of the Piedmont. That series is still going on. Piedmont won the first game against Trinity 4-2, and now they play the second game today.
All right, so Trinity's still alive.
So they're still in it.
Trinity has a proud baseball tradition.
They really do. And what was that guy's name that coached there? Riddle.
No, that
was one of the coaches there.
Their coach was there for a long time.
Yeah.
Coached both Gaylord boys, Wes and Derek.
I want to say his name was Riddle, and he played and coached at Huntington. That's what I remember.
Auburn University has hired a new president, Chris Roberts. Chris Roberts is planning to meet with Auburn Athletic Director Alan Green in the coming weeks to get a better understanding of the Tigers athletics department entering the summer. So, new president coming on board, athletic director might be shown the door. You never know.
Well, where's this guy? What's this guy's background? What do you know? Can you tell us?
Trying to figure out more about the information. Not really seeing too much right now. He was hired. No, this is all information about Alan Green, the athletic director. I'll have to look up more information.
I mean, was he at Auburn already, or did he come? Was he president of some other university, or?
I'll have to read up on that. I'll more talking about the athletic director might be out the door.
Well, Max Howell makes the point all the time, and I've become a firm believer he's right. Everything flows downhill. It starts at your board of trustees and your president, and so this is huge. I can remember when the University of Alabama had some wacky, radical, crazy university presidents, and it was just a disaster for the whole university and the athletic department. If you remember some of these people they had, so big decisions they made.
Well, I mean, the big story of Alabama is, the crazy guy that said that Bobby Bowden had to interview. I can't remember who was that. Joab Thomas.
Yeah, that's right.
With him, but there were people that came after him.
Then there was Mike Ross, the athletic director, that pretty much ran off Gene Stallings. Gene Stallings left because he couldn't work with him.
Yeah, it was the guy that hired Baccarat was one of those wacky presidents I'm telling you about.
Yeah. Of course, again, we've got a lot of baseball still to happen. As G.W. Long is playing Decatur Heritage starting today, and of course, Hopeville is really a surprise team. Hopeville is playing Russellville in a big showdown, so that's going to be two games to watch.
Yeah, Roberts had been in Auburn since 1994, the new president. He started as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemical Engineering, became department chair in 2003. He was named Dean of Engineering in July 2012. So he's been in Auburn for years.
So he brought him up the pipeline. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
The guy that was president when Saban was hired did a great job, and then he became chancellor. I can't remember his name.
That was Robert Witt.
That's it.
Yeah.
And, so he seemed to understand what was important. And, the university enrollment just almost went up by about 15,000 students, and then he stuck with Mal Moore, and then he got Nick Saban.
Is he still at Alabama? Whit? Is he still at Alabama?
No, he's gone now. But he married your good friend's wife.
Yeah, really did. Sweet, one of the sweetest people I've known. He was Whit got lucky. Boy, married a very sweet girl that I know pretty well. Now, baseball, of course, today looking at Mobile Christian against Etowah, G.W. Long playing for the 2A title against Decatur Heritage. They play at 4 o'clock today. And then, like I just mentioned, Class 5A Hopeville, 34-5 against Russellville, 33-3. or 33-12, and we'll be watching that closely. And a lot going on still, Mike. Central of Phoenix City is going up against Hewitt-Trussville for the 7A crown, and
well, all I'm interested in is G.W. Long and Trinity. I'd like. I know a lot of people that have kids that go to Trinity. I'd like to see them win.
And I was told my good friend Jack Morrison lives out in the Lubbock area. No, excuse me, not Lubbock area, but in the oh gosh, I'm having a hard time. But in Texas, and his daughter just signed a 4-year scholarship to play for Texas Tech.
Really?
Yeah,
What,
in softball. So I thought that would be, he's going to have a lot of fun watching her play.
You know, you go back to the most influential legislation in our lifetimes. I got to say that this Title IX legislation was really good in retrospect, wasn't it? I mean, there was no girls' sports of any consequence when we were growing up.
Yeah. And
now it's just as many girls play sports as boys. And then they have all these scholarship opportunities. Softball is, you know, basketball is a big sport, but girls softball has become a huge sport.
Oh, it really is. It is.
Michael can talk about that. You were in the sporting goods business. You know, it never really occurred to me that why, like, Hibbett Sporting Goods did so well. And then, you know, then the answer is easy. Is the number of customers doubled because suddenly not just boys were playing sports, girls were playing sports.
Exactly.
And they needed gloves and bats and whatever.
What even just that? It was like band programs. I mean, I worked with big schools up in Birmingham. I worked at minor high schools, and their band program was legendary. And they spent more money with the band program than the football program had. They had a bigger budget.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, these football programs, everybody talks about, you know, gates and ticket sales and stuff like that. I mean, some of these smaller schools and programs, I mean, they got to have, you know, fans come to the games because that's how they pay for this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's part of, you know, fundraising. Yeah. But I was shocked that some of the smaller schools and some of the smaller sports like softball and volleyball, those were some of the sports that spent the most money. It was crazy the amount of money they would spend.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's called Title IX, and you know, there's you don't hear about Title IX.
We got some local teams in softball still in it. First round games start Friday, Class 2A. We got Forsby versus GW Long, Orange Beach versus Luverne.
So you know, Long is in it in both softball and baseball then.
Yep.
Yeah, Luverne's in it too in softball. So they'll play championship games on Saturday is what it says.
All right,
I can remember when Troy Recreation started offering fast pitch softball.
Yeah.
Dan Smith has come on the show and told us about it. It was ahead of the time in Alabama. And then you remember there was a girl named Betty White.
Yep.
Her daddy, she was a great pitcher, and Dan told us that her daddy came and said, "Dan, you got to start offering this."
Johnny White,
Johnny
was in
White,
my class, you know, and
she was probably playing travel ball, and
promoter,
somehow he taught her how to pitch, and she was a phenom.
Yeah, she sure was.
Well, but really because of them, Troy went ahead and started fast pitch a couple years, and then but boy, they were right. It was the wave.
Yeah. Troy University.
Titletown's in it too in 1A.
Titletown, USA. Old Brantley, Titletown, USA is looking at another possible championship.
Getting back to my fast pitch softball story, remember they had it back in the day, but it was out in the West Coast. You heard about the California teams and Arizona State playing fast pitch softball. It wasn't in the South. Well, suddenly Alabama was kind of ahead of everybody going into fast pitch softball and got a good team. But even early on, all your players would come from other states. Well, that's not the case now. Now you get your best players come from your own state because the feeder programs are there.
Coach,
I'd like to stand in the box and have a 70-mile-per-hour fastball come to me. And see if I can
yeah.
I say that's the equivalent of like a 100-mile-an-hour fastball in baseball. Don't you think they need to move the mound back a little, a few feet?
Well, it would make it more.
Alabama is the number 6 seed overall in the softball tournament, NCAA tournament. So that means that if they win this weekend at home in the regional, they'll host a super regional. So that means Alabama will play all the home games in Tuscaloosa to get a chance to go to the College World Series, which is always big.
Mike, I was looking at some rosters that were handed to me earlier today by Steve Camp in Central Ohio, Phoenix City. And, of course, it says the superintendent's name is Randy Wilkes, and he hails from Goshen, Alabama, and he's former Troy University offensive lineman, and now he's superintendent of the schools in Phoenix City. And I don't know of any school in the state of Alabama that is as prolific as Central of Phoenix City. And one of the players on this team, Mike, is a junior, and his name is Caleb Nix. You reckon he's a pretty good player?
Well, yeah, that's Patrick Nix's
son.
I'm looking at the team picture of the Hartsville Tigers. For one, I forgot that Hartsville's nickname was the Tigers, which is ironic because who do their uniforms look like completely?
Alabama.
I mean, their football uniforms are doubles for Alabama. They got a sharp-looking baseball, old throwback baseball jerseys.
Yeah.
Crimson and white, but their nickname is the Tigers.
Now, the Central Phoenix City plays Hewitt-Trussville, and of course, Mike, you can name a lot of players that came out of Hewitt-Trussville, especially a quarterback that came out about 20 years ago that was pretty good.
Well, it's longer than that. I'm 40, so that was probably almost 30 years ago when Jay Barker came out.
Yeah. Is Jay Barker still on the radio in Birmingham?
No, I don't know. Jay's had some off-the-field stuff or off-the-radio stuff.
And I hate to hear that, you know.
It's been going on. I don't know what happened with all that. It's kind of been hush-hush. So he did have his own radio network, though.
Yeah.
That he did with Lars Anderson, a writer that was with Sports Illustrated for a long time.
Yeah.
And
you know what I wish I could. What I wish I could listen to as far as a radio show is Cole Kubelik and McElroy.
Yeah.
They are both super smart and good, and you would think that they are now partners on a radio show in Birmingham. You would think that show would be very good.
Yeah.
I thought that show would be on 740 after Barry McKnight and Longshore.
They need to put it on. Yeah, it must.
It's not. Cole Kubik's old show was.
The time slots might not match up.
I know you can listen to it on iHeartRadio.
Now, I still say that John and Barry's show is as good as any in America. John Longshore and Barry McKnight. And Barry does it every morning from here in Troy.
Yeah, I think.
But we go head to head against that show.
Well, we're big enough to give credit where credit's due.
And of course, these softball teams are getting ready for some big tournaments. And one of the teams that from our area, like y'all mentioned earlier, was the Luverne Tigers. And the Brantley Bulldogs. Both are in the softball
good morning. You're on
championship.
Today in L.A.
Hey, Bill. Will Matthews. How y'all doing today?
Hey, Will.
Good morning, Will. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good.
Will Matthews, of course, from the Matthews Law Firm right here in Troy and or in Ozark.
But you can use him if you.
Troy and Ozark.
Call him up.
And many times he's also a judge, and you work Troy quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, I'm up there a lot of times. If they need help, I always help them.
And of course, most people call you Judge Will Matthews, don't they?
Yeah.
And tell us about the PGA. Who do you like?
Well, you know, I think there's about 4 or 5 people that are coming in really playing well. I'd love to see Jordan Spieth win it because that's the one major he has not won.
Okay.
But I think JT's got a good chance. I think Rahm's got a good chance. I don't see Tiger making the cut. I really don't.
Now, this is this a hilly course or is it? That's what yeah.
It's a hilly course. It's going to be hot.
He's going to have a hard time physically. He'll have a hard time playing that course physically, won't he?
Yeah, and I see where he's coming from, though. He wants to get in a couple of tournaments before the British Open. I think the British Open, he's got a legitimate chance to win there.
John Rahm is plus 1,100. Scotty Scheffler's plus 1,200. Justin Thomas is plus 1,200. So.
Rahm seems like
I like Rahm. I like JT also. What is Spieth? Just out of curiosity.
Trying to pull it up. Tiger's plus 6,500. Spieth's got pretty good odds, plus 1,800.
Yeah.
So you bet on Tiger to win $10, you could make $650 on a $10 bet.
That's right.
It's like the Kentucky Derby horse. You could make a $10 bet and have won $800.
What if you put 1,000 on Tiger?
Well, let's see. That'd be 65,000.
Yeah.
No.
650,000.
It would be more than that, wouldn't it?
650,000, I think.
Yeah.
Well, there might be somebody that does that. I bet there are probably a lot of people that do that.
But a lot of them are, as far as the wagering is on who makes the cut. Isn't that right, Will?
I don't know if you can bet on the cut.
You can't.
I don't think you can bet on the cut. But a lot.
You can bet top 51 or under usually. That's what Tiger was at the Masters. To finish in the top 50, 51 players over under.
No, I'm looking at these team rosters. Gosh. In the 6A, we've got a battle between the Pelham Panthers and the Hartsville Tigers. I am pulling for the Hartsville Tigers. Pelham is the team that's 18-18-1 in the state finals. They don't even have a winning record in there. But I'm looking at their team. One, they've all peroxide blonded their hair. Some of them have on hats, some of them don't in the team picture. And they're all doing these like game signals with their hands, in the team photo.
Yeah.
Acting silly. I mean, who let them do that? All right, that was an aside. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Well, the weather actually is going to be surprisingly cold. Saturday, the high 67, low 50, and then Sunday is going to be 71 and 57.
That's
so
great.
Yeah, it is going to be hot on Thursday. 91 is the high. Friday's 87, but then the high on Saturday is 67, low 50. High on Sunday will be 71.
Well, that's very manageable.
Yeah, that is a huge cold front that's coming in.
Yeah, I wish the guy would come to the beach. It's like 90 degrees every day down here now.
If you don't have a sprinkler system or not running your hose, your grass in Troy is just burned up, or mine is.
Mike, they call it Beach Week, and it's usually the week after graduation. But have you already started seeing a lot of beach traffic already?
Well, the college graduates down here right now, so it's tons of colleges throughout the southeast. Everybody's down here celebrating and partying. I'm literally looking out my window right now, the main street of Graydon, and there's probably 100 people walking by my house already.
And of course, this.
I mean, it's been beautiful water down here. Though the water finally changed, and it's beautiful down here right now. So it's perfect time anybody coming down to the beach.
This is one of the few major champion teams that I have played. So it'll be interesting to see, what it looks like on TV.
No way, Will. You played Pebble. You played a lot of times at Maine.
I know.
We talked about over the years.
I thought this year's course. This year's.
Well, they played a senior championship there last year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I don't know how my cousin did last year in it, but he played it.
You know,
Well, Doug played good on Sunday. I think he shot 600.
He did. Michael, he started off birdie, eagle, birdie starting round. He's 400 after 3 overs.
gosh. How did he finish? Did he finish in the top 10?
Yeah, he was, like,
Awesome.
I don't know what 8 plays on that.
Did they have a good attendance up there in Birmingham?
Very good. Yeah, very good. That's
Good.
a popular.
Steve Stricker ran away with it.
Yeah. I've forgotten about Stricker, but he was a good golfer there for a couple of years.
Well, you know, Stricker,
He never won a major. He never won a major on the regular tour, but he's won several on the Champions Tour.
but you know, you watch him and watch his swing. Will, it's not it's not what you call a real powerful swing, is it?
Stricker?
Yeah. He doesn't really hit the ball a long ways, does he?
Oh, he hits the ball a long way now. He's very thin and he's got a long back swing.
Yeah.
He's got a good swing. I enjoy watching him.
Well, I'm saying he's not like all these power pitch. Would you call him a power golfer then?
Well, no, I don't think so. He's pretty straight hitter.
Yeah.
He's never won a major championship, which that kind of surprises me.
Now, is he playing in the tournament? Is he playing in the tournament?
No.
The PGA?
Oh yeah, he'll be playing. I'll guarantee.
I'll tell you this. He's got a shot. He'll play.
He's not in the field.
He's not.
Not playing.
No. You got to be a past winner to play in the field.
No, do you?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, John Daly's playing in it.
I think, and then you got an exempt. If you're a past winner from like the previous 5 or 10 years, you can play in it. Tell me if I'm right on this, Will. I know Hubie Green, he won a U.S. Open at this course.
Yeah.
But I also think Hubert Green also won he won 2 majors. I think he won a PGA championship, but I think it was the exact same course. No.
Hubie won the PGA in Denver at Cherry Hill.
Okay. But he did.
Lou Gray of Nashville, who I've probably played 50 rounds. And Louis, when I was at Vanderbilt, he won the U.S. Open in Chicago. And he played with my golf team once or twice a week, when he was home there, at Bell Mead.
How about that? But
He's still alive. He's like 80-something years old.
Hubert Green had a good run. He won the U.S. Open at this course. And then, you remember when Tom Watson and Nicklaus had that great British Open showdown where they just ran away with the field?
That's right.
It was a 2-person tournament. Well, you know who was third in that tournament was Hubert Green.
Yeah.
I remember one time Hubert Green, I followed him because he was from Alabama, and so I pulled for him. One time on the PGA Tour, Hubert Green won 3 consecutive weekends on the PGA Tour.
You know, one thing about him, he played with his hands very close to the ground. He was not a power hitter at all, was he?
His swing was way different than everybody else.
He hit a big hook off the tee.
He played that hook, huh? You can do it then, huh?
He played the hook.
And you watch him, and his hands are just so low,
I guess if you know you're going to do it, you can play it.
Now, one year at the Masters, he was 1 stroke behind Gary Player going to the last hole, and he hit it 3 feet from the hole and missed the putt.
Oh, I remember that. So that would have got him in a playoff?
They would have and that was going to be the first sudden death playoff in the Masters. Used to be at 18 holes, but that year they decided to do a sudden death, and the sudden death was going to be on number 1. So my daddy and I, after he hit that shot, we started heads up number 1 for the playoff.
So he hits a great approach shot, which shows a lot of nerve, and then I remember, I've seen the hip clips, he misses a little 2.5, 3 foot putt.
Yep.
So he could have had 3 major championships. He could have had 3 of the 4 majors.
Bill, a lot of people don't know this, but in a 10-year stretch, Hubert finished in the top 10 like 8 times at the Masters.
That is something. That
Always attention at the Masters.
Yeah.
Well, my mom and dad once were down in Panama City at some oyster place, and they said he was eating there, and they talked to him.
Well, you know, he practiced out at Signal Hill, didn't he?
29 wins.
Well,
Bill, he lived there at Bay Point.
yeah. I knew exactly where Chauncey was, a beautiful home.
Well, he grew up in Birmingham. What's his background? I mean, how did...
He grew up Mountain Brook. His daddy was a doctor.
Yeah, that's right.
He went to Florida State, and after he got out of college, he got drafted like everybody did back in those days, and they were going to send him to Vietnam. He contemplated into getting into the National Guard, and guess where he was stationed?
Panama City.
No,
Kendall.
Fort Rucker.
Enterprise, Alabama.
Okay.
And he designed the back 9 at the Enterprise Country Club while he was,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it says that he enlisted in the Alabama National Guard in Enterprise, Alabama in 1969. It said, however, Green won the Southern Amateur for the second time. It was one of the top 10 amateurs in the country. He decided to turn pro. He took a year to earn his PGA America credentials.
I remember seeing him. He used to practice at the back on the back course at Signal Hill. He used to practice there a lot.
He went to Florida State.
Yeah.
Well, we would talk about him more if he had gone to Alabama or Auburn,
Yeah.
but I guess he had his reasons. He didn't go far.
You know, talking about another, at one time, a great he was a great young golfer, Jerry Pate. Tell us a story about Jerry Pate. He won, I know he won 1 major.
He won 2. He won the
Yeah.
U.S. Amateur and the U.S. Open.
If you count the USA Amateur, he won 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, U.S. Amateur major as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Well, tell me if I'm wrong. Here, Jerry, who I've visited with before, so I'm gonna call him Jerry, grew up in like North Alabama, and then he moved. His family moved to Pensacola when he was in high school, and then he came back to Alabama to go to the University of Alabama, where he became its most famous golfer until Justin Thomas. And
Well,
so he has strong University of Alabama roots, but he actually lived in Alabama growing up. Remember, all right, Will? Was that?
And Jerry, a lot of people have heard this. When I was a freshman at Vanderbilt, I played. They had the SEC at the in Dothan. Now it's called Dothan National. And that was at that time. It was the longest course.
I know they had one hole was over 600 yards long, and they played it.
Well, I played with Jerry Pate and Andy Bean in Florida the first 2 days. I beat Jerry Pate by 12 or 14 strokes. and Jerry Pate won the U.S. Amateur the year before.
Uh-huh.
But in 74, he won the U.S. Amateur, and then in 75, and he played in 2 or 3 pro tournaments, including the Masters.
Yeah.
And he goes to Dothan to the SEC, and he stumped up the whole place. I mean, it was beautiful.
Will, one thing he is famous for is that 5 iron shot. You tell us about that.
Well, the U.S. Atlanta Athletic Club, which Bob Jones, my best friend, is a member of. I've played the course many times, and there's a plaque out there on 18. It's in the right rook. And everybody that plays the course goes over to that spot to try to hit the same shot over the water on 18. But there's a catch. You have to use a 5 iron. Well, nobody gets across the water with a 5 iron.
I know you.
I remember that as a little kid pulling so hard for him, and you said, oh, he's in trouble. He's going to lose the U.S. Open. Then he hit it to about 3 feet from the pin.
And what did you say about the 5-iron? They would use probably a 7 or 8 iron now. Is that right?
Oh, it's a long.
Oh, it's still longer. Still longer. So that was.
Water.
You know, I also saw Jerry Pate. He became, I think he won that U.S. Open in 1976 when I was 11 or 10. And then I went to the Sugar Bowl when Alabama played Ohio State and stayed in the Hyatt Regency where Alabama's team did. And I saw him several times. He was a huge Alabama football fan, and he would be walking in and out of the hotel with Coach Bryant. So
Coach Bryant loved him.
Coach Bryant let him stay on the sidelines.
Yeah, you're right. Probably as close to Coach Bryant as any former player was.
He's a huge Alabama fan to this day. And then Justin Thomas is real close to Nick Saban, I think.
Well, are you going to play?
Question. Do you remember Bruce Lipsky that played on the field?
Yeah, I remember
he
him.
was good.
All right,
Good senior player.
Jerry Pate married Bruce Lipsky's wife's sister, so they married.
So that was his brother-in-law.
Yeah, Susie is Jerry's sister. I mean, Susie was married to Jerry.
All right, now, he still lives in Pensacola, doesn't he?
Yes.
He has a big company. You can see it from the highway that they provide just like the equipment that helps you maintain golf courses, fertilizer and and then he designs courses too, but he's got a course maintenance bit. He's got a little niche that seems pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, he does well.
He redesigned Montgomery Country Club, and my brother Rush was on the committee that was in charge of that, and Rush called me one day and said, "Well, Jerry Pate's up here, and he's looking at how the work's coming along. You want to ride around with him and talk to him?" I said, "Shoot, yeah." I was the managing editor for the Montgomery Independent.
Yeah.
So I rode around for about an hour with Jerry Pate as he marked up the course and supervised the course reconstruction. And his brother was in that business. His little brother's really nicer and more down home than Jerry, but Jerry was nice to me anyway. He gave me a good interview.
Jerry, bless his heart, was premature bald. He was almost bald before he left college. Which he couldn't help that.
Jerry
Covered up with cap.
Yeah, I know. He covered up with a cap. Yeah.
Mike, Jerry's son won the Future Masters one year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's something.
He played Alabama too.
Yeah. And,
I think isn't the college golf facility in Tuscaloosa named after him? Or?
I have no idea.
Yeah. We're going to take a short break, and of course, our show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. They're going mad on a Mayday sale and we appreciate all of the folks there at Premier, and they're ready for you to come in there and buy a new car, truck, or a used car, truck. And of course, as I've said many times, nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Mayday! Hurry to get amazing deals. New Ram, we got them. New Jeeps, we got them. And more coming. Our Mayday sale. Huge savings. And 0% APR soon. Shop at PremierTrade.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
You guys are here early.
The text said you were bringing McDonald's.
Should we get right into it?
Nick, there's hot food present.
Mix and match chicken McGriddles or a savory sausage biscuit. Choose any two for $3. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey, I'm Quinn Hamright, head football coach and athletic director for Charles Henderson High School. Please come out and join us for the C Spire Truck Cable Spring Classic, May 20th, May 21st, as we take on Lee High School Friday night, May 20th.
On May 21st at 3:30, we have Hillcrest versus Selma. At 7 p.m., we have Flomaton versus Greensboro.
Games will also be live streamed on Troy Cable, Channel 2. Be there.
Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking.
Our USDA choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy. All at cost plus 10%.
We're blowing away high prices. Use Nissan, Honda, Toyota, Chevy, Ford. We got them. And they're all marked down. Over 120 to choose from. Bring home $350 a week and you can be approved. Shop PremierTroy.com or come see us. Nobody beats a Premier deal.
Very.
Durant.
All right, we're back.
Back to our show, and of course brought to you by the Withington Group. And remember, you're in good hands with Allstate at the and of course Steve Perry Green at the Withington Group right here in Troy. And of course want to mention also Max Federal Credit Union, one of the great financial institutions in our part of the country, and Old View Manor Health Care Center in Ozark, one of the great facilities in that part of the country. Will Matthews is our guest calling in with Mike Amos. Mike, you and Will, let's
I want to talk about the governor's race and the Senate race and the other key races in the state, including Wes Allen from Troy running for Secretary of State. You know, I don't get out much. I work at home, but I mean, I'm not hearing a lot of buzz about these races. Am I just missing it? Or, I mean, is there a lot of interest in these races?
Well, Katie Britt has raised $6.5 million per campaign.
Wow.
Yeah, but how much of that did Richard Shelby give her?
He probably transferred a good bit of his back to her, but not. I think she's getting a lot of personal donations. Now, there's a guy named Durant running nobody's ever heard of, and he's a multi-millionaire, and he's a military hero. They did a movie about him, that Black Hawk Down, that was about him.
Yeah, really, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, he's got a $30 million in Colorado. He's not even from Alabama. He's running.
Oh, boy.
He's running second polls right now, Britt.
Well, how is he running for Senate in Alabama if he's not even, I mean, what's his claim to being from Alabama? Of course, you know, Tuberville, they've made the same charge against him.
He lives in Huntsville.
You ever heard of Robert Jr.?
Heard of who?
Robert Kennedy Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know Robert Kennedy Jr., senator from New York, he never put in New York.
Oh, yeah, well, Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton, same way. Now, they do live in New York now.
Yeah. But,
yeah, Durant's originally from New Hampshire.
Yeah,
I never heard, I mean, but he came from out of the blue.
Yeah.
Well, so did Britt, too. You know, Britt, I knew she worked for Shelby, and then she was with the Alabama Business Council, headed it up, which is a big-time organization.
Now, Will, there's one candidate that for governor that has already spent $10 million of her own money.
And she's in dreadful third or fourth place, too.
What is her name again?
Blanchard.
Oh, yeah. Now, also, your buddy Bob James' son is.
Does he have a chance?
He spent. They say something like $4 to $5 million of his own money.
Those of us, if Jay Ives is going to win, she'll probably win without a runoff.
Yeah. And
Durant's been living in Alabama though since 2003.
Mm-hmm. Actually,
I'll tell you the Black Hawk Down. That was a bigger battle than you realize. And that I've read the book that the movie was based on, and the movie is great. I mean, you talk about war movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know who starred in his role was
who was it? Had a good cast.
Yeah. Let's see. I was trying to think. He
was played by an actor named Rod Adler.
Okay. Yeah.
Who's the director? That director is really good. Did Black Hawk Down?
I have to look and see.
But it was a citywide intense gun battle for about 24, 36 hours. I mean, it was some.
The guy I remember this. The guy that did the Robin Hood movie that was real good, Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott, thank you. He did Alien.
The Robin Hood movie, which was real good, with Russell Crowe and Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, Lee, I didn't. We talked to Will all the time, but I didn't know that Will was a
movie buff.
Movie.
Well, the guy that directed all those movies is really good. He had a brother who was a director too that directed some hits, but they weren't near as cinematic masterpieces as Ridley's. But Black Hawk Down, it is an intense. If that captures halfway what really happened, that was a harrowing 36-hour period for those people.
Yeah, he said he was a former pilot. He was involved in Black Hawk Down accident, which took while serving the U.S. Army pilot. Grant was a member of the 160 Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers. He was the chief warrant officer. He was briefly a prisoner in 1993 in the raid of Somalia.
I saw President Biden yesterday say that he sent some more special ops back to Somalia. Why are we in Somalia? Just leave Somalia alone.
Of course, our show is brought to you by Troy Bank and Trust Company. Remember, Troy Bank and Trust Company is the only bank you'll ever need. Will Matthews from the Matthews Law Firm is on our show, and of course he's looking forward to a big weekend of playing a little golf and watching a little golf. Will, that's what you'll do this weekend, won't you?
Yeah, I'm playing like St. Louis, Mississippi. I've never played there. It's supposed to be nice.
Well, who won the Senate race in Pennsylvania, or is it still too soon to tell?
There's three of them, Bill, and I don't know if they have a runoff in that or not, but, Dr. Oz is one of them.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the one. There's a big deal about who got the Trump endorsements and how do these candidates do versus the people who were not.
Trump endorsed Oz, Dr. Oz.
Yeah. Last I saw, it was a tie between Dr. Oz and the other guy.
Well, there's three of them.
Is there no Democrat running in the race?
No, this was a Republican primary, so that they will. This person will then have to win. You're right. And
Will, Bay St. Louis pretty much fell off the map from the Hurricane Katrina. How's it recovered? Is it all been built back?
Yeah, and the place I'm staying is brand new. Brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going on a trip to Napa, California in less than a month, and my wife sent me a text, and we're renting a car. We're flying into Sacramento Airport. Gas prices in California are over $6 a gallon right now, she told me.
Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah.
well, they're $4.25 in Troy.
I know, but can you imagine filling up on $6 a gallon? How much that's going to cost?
Think about the truckers. Diesel is about 30% higher than gas. I cannot imagine how much it costs to fill up a big 18-wheeler truck with diesel in California.
Yeah.
How's there not stockpiles of oil that we've had over the years? I mean, how do we not have any in the reserves?
Oh, we do. We do. We have a lot of that.
I mean, why are the prices so high?
Well, it has to do with pipelines being not built. It has to do with fracking being subtly politically incorrect. It has to do with oil embargoes of Venezuela and oil embargoes of Russia. It has to do with taxes and regulations on the blends of oil that they make you have to meet environmental regulations. But yeah, gas has gone from $2 and something a gallon to in Troy $4.25, and as you said, $6 a gallon in California. And then think about these people in California. They don't commute 10 miles a day. They commute 60 miles a day, and then are on these highways for hours, aren't they, Mike? Have you been out there?
That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So their gas bill must be astronomical every month.
I mean, it's $4.60 for regular down here at the beach right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Y'all, let me touch on something. We jump back and forth on our show with different things, but I've got to say something to this. G.W. Long plays Decatur Heritage for the 2A state championship today. Decatur Heritage has won a championship in 2016. Listen to this. G.W. Long Rebels had won in 1989, 91, 92, 94, 95, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2005, 2013, 2017, 2018, 2019. Can you believe that?
Sure, they're the UCLA of baseball.
I mean, they are G.W. Long of Skipperville.
Let me look at it. Let me see it.
And you know a lot about this, and I'll throw one thing out. You remember when Kelly was Joe Kelly was a quarterback, and he went on to Alabama and he played behind Scott Hunter and Stabler, or he played behind Stabler.
Played behind Joe Namath.
And Joe Namath, yeah. All right, and you could understand, but you know where his hometown was? Skipperville,
Absolutely, and his daddy sold shoes in Barquette department store downtown Ozark for 40 years.
Yeah, and you know, of course, he became a very successful businessman. But it's amazing that that these kids that come from Skipperville, and now let me ask this: the city limits of Skipperville and the city limits of Ozark are how far?
Well, Skipperville's only 9 miles from Ozark.
All right, so the line, do you know where the actual?
There's no, listen, Skipperville is in the country. They don't have a city limit. Ozark goes out 3 miles from the city limits. The police jurisdiction goes out like 2 or 3 miles. Skipperville's right there.
You know, if there was a county school system like that, you would think that all of them would have come to Ozark.
Well, in fact, when Joe Kelly played high school football, Skipperville didn't even have a school.
Yeah.
And then about right along in there, maybe a few years later, the 60s, they built schools out there, and the county had their own school system.
And then the Miller, the coach came in there, and the boys, they just built a tremendous franchise.
I think one of those Miller boys has got the home run record at Troy.
That's right. Well, I know he had the high school home run record at one time. He hit 30 in his senior year in high school. That was a record for a long time.
Well, let me give you.
Most Troy ever had either. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
You know how I like to analyze stuff. In the 90s, the decade of the 90s, G.W. Long won 7 state titles out of 10 in that decade. Yeah. The only ones they didn't win were 90, 93, and 96. They won back-to-back in 97, 98, and 99, 3-peat, which Park Archers did a 4-peat. They also did won it in 94 and 95, so they won 5 out of 6 possible state championships in one run.
You know,
then they got it started in 1989, so they won 1 title in the 80s, 7 in the 90s. The decade, the 2000s, they won 4, only 4. Then in our decade, which we call the 2010s, they've won 4. Then they're going for 1 in 2020. But I'll tell you this, they're going up against a team. Look at that, Mike. The Decatur Heritage Eagles.
30-0.
30-0. The only team I think in the state that is undefeated.
Yeah. And then Long is 32
and 8.
32 and 8.
Played 40 games.
Yeah. Now let me throw something else at you. One of the great players at Robert E. Lee High School and was an All-American at Auburn. What was his name?
Terry Beasley?
Nope.
Beasley? Nope.
Nope. McClinton, Buddy McClinton.
Oh, yeah, that owns the shopping center.
All right, now here it is. This is the roster for Trinity Wildcats. Weber McClinton, the outfielder, is a sophomore. Walker McClinton, a pitcher, is also a sophomore. And Mac McClinton is a senior, and he's an outfielder. But three of those McClinton boys, and I don't know if these are all Buddy McClinton's grandsons or whatever, but the three McClintons on that Trinity team.
Well, that's something you picked that out, Mike. Yeah, that's a story.
Yeah. And of course, you know, it's tradition. There's so much tradition, and Trinity is.
Well, let's see how many state titles Trinity has won.
Yeah, what is it?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, it is good.
Their first one was in 1985. I was correct. Derek Gaylord would have been on that team. Their first state champion.
Yeah. You know, Mike, I was wondering where Tommy Waston ended up, and Tommy Waston is the superintendent of education for the Mobile County. Isn't that something?
Tommy Watson is?
Tommy Waston, former Troy quarterback, and played behind Mike Turk.
He coached at Brundage and in Goshen.
Yeah, he's a great coach.
Great man, nice guy. He's the superintendent of education?
The superintendent of education, evidently, for the Mobile school system.
Well, he's
county school system.
Awesome. He was here in Pike County for a long time. We can claim him, and he is a fine gentleman.
Yeah, it really is, no question. And again, I want to throw another name out, Michael, and Will might know this too. Hertzberg is an outstanding team, and they're in the 5A championships. They're 34-5. Their coach is named Scott Tubbs. Have you ever? Hopeful's head coach is Scott Tubbs, and I'm believing this is the guy that went to Dothan and had all those great teams down there. Will, have you ever heard of him?
No, I've never heard.
Now, Scott, you know, a lot of that was some American Legion.
You can pick out a lot looking at these rosters and team photos. Most of the teams, their players sit up straight and have good team pictures. Good. Boy, was that one team I mentioned. They look like a bunch of punks. But then I'm looking at Russellville. I'm going to count the players. How many players do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28.
That's about right.
28. Certainly a couple of these are coaches that just put it on the jersey.
Yeah.
But in the the Russellville team picture, there are 28 people in a Russellville baseball uniform.
I want to mention the Luverne Tigers. It's girls softball. They're still in the tournament, and they've got Keela Johnson, Lacey Kelly, Mike June, Madison Holly, Mackenzie King, Zion Peterson, Chrislyn Fargar, Kiara Sutter, Anu Burnett, Kaylee Frazier, Destiny Forte, Trinity Forte, and Rayshawn Stallworth. Those are they're coached by Dale Simmons, and they're in playing in for the championships. So that's a huge.
Well, I tell people
tournament.
when you get a team picture, take it seriously, because it's going to live for posterity. There are going to be people that might be on a plaque in your school 30 years later. So kudos to these kids that sit up straight and act serious.
But you know, like you mentioned, McClinton, you know, that's got to be a very athletic family. You know, of course, like you said, their granddaddy was Buddy McClinton, was an All-American at Auburn and safety man. Do you remember him?
I've heard stories that he was a really good football player, and he's a big-time shopping center developer.
That's right.
What's the shopping center on?
There's a lot of them.
Taylor Road, or where the big movie theater was in Montgomery, still is. That was one of his.
I'll tell you about
where the Mellow Mushroom is.
I'll tell you about a friend of mine. His name was, gosh, now it's Trinity Bank's no longer there. Is that right? It's been bought out. Is that right? Is Trinity Bank still in?
I don't remember a Trinity Bank. There's a Sterling Bank, and there used to be a Colonial Bank, and
Allen World, a friend of mine.
That was Sterling Bank.
Do you know Allen World?
Yeah.
You know he's from Troy.
Yep.
I went to kindergarten with Allen World, and he was one of my first buddies. Went to Miss Egan's kindergarten with Allen World, and he's done pretty well for himself, hasn't he?
He has. Well, there's a lot. We talked yesterday about Sloan, spoke at the Tip Colley banquet. Came to Troy as a walk-on baseball player, switched to football for some reason. Then darn if he doesn't become an all-conference player on some of Coach Blakeney's first teams.
Yeah. And then
plays for the San Diego Chargers briefly,
right.
and then in the XFL, and then has become leader of a multi-million-dollar business in Montgomery.
Yeah, and a great guy.
Eric Sloan,
Eric Sloan, and they said he did a wonderful job with his presentation as the main speaker for the Tip Colley Awards. Will, you gonna play any golf today?
Oh, Will, our people have left us. They've
gone
on to the rest of their day.
To better things, evidently.
If I was going to play golf today, I would be playing right now or at 6:30, and I wouldn't know the heat. I would be trying to stay out of the heat.
Yeah, exactly right. And but your little girl had a good time. And again, this is something that has probably never been done, where you let out a bunch of elementary school kids to go over to Troy University,
in a bus,
sit in the stands, and scream their lungs out.
I love it. She had a great time, and I guess it was Pikeville Arts kids too, and maybe some Goshen and Banks and Brundage kids. But it was elementary school kids at the UAB Troy baseball game. And the only bad thing about it was that Troy lost by 2 runs.
Yeah.
But it's a neat promotion.
Yeah, it really was. And
if nothing else, they should have sold a lot of Cokes and popcorn.
And let me tell you this: as soon as that game was over, they started tearing down the facility, and they're going to tear down most of the baseball facility and build it back. And they're going to and they're going to have chairback seats, and they're going to have boxes and different things. But this will be a $19 million investment.
We buried the lead. We should have been talking about that from the beginning. Yeah, a major renovation at Riddle Pace Field. Huh?
It's going on right now.
And it's already started.
And I don't know for sure how they plan on, if they're going to tear down all of the bleachers, but I want to say that they'll probably have to. And it's going to be a beautiful stadium, and hopefully it'll be ready for next season.
That'll help the so here's our big projects at Troy University now. The Riddle Pace Field renovation, $19 million. And then I haven't ridden by, but aren't they starting on the new nursing?
Yeah, the nursing school is going to be beautiful. And from what I gather, and this will be impressive, I've heard that the nursing school is going to go up, several stories. Wouldn't that be beautiful to have a nice facility like that?
Well, there were only a couple eyesore buildings on campus, and they tore those dorms down, and including Wright Hall, which was really
that's
kind of
right.
old shape. And part of that space is going to be this beautiful new nursing, and then I think they're going to put they have a program where they train trainers. That'll be in there.
Yeah. We appreciate you watching our show today, and of course we'll be giving you more information on the Charles Henderson High School, the Robert E. Lee High School football game. Will be Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff.
You going?
Yes, sir. From the friendly confines of our stadium here, and of course we hope that you'll be there for that game. enjoyed bringing it to you this morning. We'll see you tomorrow.
Mayday! Mayday! Hurry to get amazing deals. New Ram, we got them. New Jeep, we got them. And more coming. Our Mayday sale. Huge savings. And 0% APR ensue. Shop at PremierTrade.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. No!